You know, you've been around for a while, and there's a lot of kind of internet rumors about you. And I thought maybe we could squash some of those rumors tonight.
Really?
If you don't mind.
That's some bull. I mean, that's
a little less patient with people that I don't feel I have to be patient with. So I speak my mind a lot more than I used to, because I used to think I'd get fired. Now I know I'm not.
This is like saying that, I've done what I set out to do, which was be a great entertainer, get people to come to the movies, have a good time.
Samuel L. Jackson is dropping some juicy hints about why he might have ended up on Hollywood's infamous blacklist. And let me tell you, he's not holding back when it comes to pointing fingers at the alleged culprits. So, what exactly did he say?
A little less patient with people that I don't feel I have to be patient with. So I speak my mind a lot more than I used to, because I used to think I'd get fired. Now I know I'm not.
The Hollywood icon Samuel L. Jackson has never been one to keep quiet about industry injustices. In fact, he's quite the opposite. He's vocal about all the shady stuff going on and isn't afraid to call out discrimination when he sees it. He tells it straight, even if it might not always work in his favor. For context, Jackson had expressed his candid opinion on Quentin Tarantino's film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, pointing out its lack of diversity in casting. During an interview with Vulture, Samuel L. Jackson discussed various aspects of his career, including his frequent collaborations with Quentin Tarantino. Despite having appeared in multiple Tarantino films, he was notably absent from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Jackson openly observed that the movie featured very few black actors and compared it to the lack of diversity he experienced in another film, Goodfellas, where he felt like one of the very few black actors present. The actor said, "But when I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I mean, how many black people are in that movie? Maybe 3. It was kind of like watching Goodfellas. When I was in Goodfellas, it's like me and somebody else." When asked if he has talked to Tarantino about the issue, the actor said, "No, I've only seen him once since the movie came out, and that was at my Oscar ceremony. He came to that. That's the only time I've seen him, and I wasn't going to talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that night." Tarantino and Samuel L. Jackson first collaborated in 1994's iconic film, Pulp Fiction. This was followed by them reuniting for Jackie Brown, K. Bill Vol 2, Inglourious Bastards as narrator, and Django Unchained. Their latest film together was 2015's The Hateful Eight, but this is not the first time Jackson has called out Tarantino. In 2022, the esteemed director made headlines for his assessment of the Marvel Universe and the actors who inhabit those roles, saying they're not movie stars. Appearing on an episode of The View, Jackson, who has starred in several Tarantino films, including Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, and The Hateful Eight, used the late Chadwick Boseman as an example to refute the filmmaker's claims. Chadwick Boseman is Black Panther. You can't refute that, and he's a movie star, said Jackson, who has also appeared as superhero Nick Fury in several MCU films. It takes an actor to be those particular characters, and the sign of movie stardom has always been what? Asses in seats? What are we talking about? Jackson added. That's not a big controversy for me to know that apparently these actors are movie stars. Tarantino shared his opinions while on Tom Segura's Cinema Speculation podcast, arguing that part of the Marvel-isation of Hollywood is you have all these actors who have become famous playing these characters, but they're not movie stars, right? He suggested. Captain America is the star, or Thor is the star. I mean, I'm not the first person to say that, he added. What's more, in a sprawling dialogue with Rolling Stone in 2023, the iconic Samuel L. Jackson opened up about an array of topics, offering raw insights into the ongoing writers' strike, the advent of artificial intelligence, his intriguing encounters with the FBI, and his candid take on the political landscape, including his thoughts on Donald Trump. The conversation kicked off with a discussion on the writers' strike, a hot topic in Hollywood at the time. Jackson didn't mince words, expressing his unequivocal support for fair compensation for writers. "I mean, the writers deserve to be paid, and deserve to be paid fairly," he remarked, highlighting the necessity of equity in an industry often fraught with financial disparities. Transitioning seamlessly to the SAG strike and the specter of artificial intelligence, Jackson showcased his trademark wit and wisdom, recalling his experiences with CGI and motion capture technology, particularly in blockbuster franchises like Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He humorously recounted his initial confusion upon being scanned for The Phantom Menace. "The first time I got scanned for George Lucas, I was like, what's this for?" he quipped, shedding light on the ever-evolving landscape of filmmaking and the potential implications for actors' legacies. As the conversation veered towards lighter territory, Jackson delved into his musical preferences, offering a glimpse into the eclectic soundtrack of his life. From the rock sounds of his youth, including the electrifying performances of black rock band Mother's Finest, to his appreciation for modern hip-hop, Jackson's musical tastes proved as diverse diverse as his filmography. He said, "There's some music of my youth that I still listen to. I like rock music. I was sort of a hippie during the 60s. And in the 70s, when I was in Atlanta, there was this black rock band called Mother's Finest. They played at Alex Cooley's Electric Ballroom. I listen to a lot of modern hip-hop also. Sometimes I'll turn on some spatial DJ on Apple Music to hear whatever's out there now. I'm pretty open to everything except country. The personal hip-hop music is very interesting to me. Back when Juice WRLD was alive, I listened to that. The kid was having some issues, but the music was still good. I remember asking my daughter and her friends who their Stevie Wonder was, and they said, Usher. They didn't say Beyonce. They said Usher." Jackson also provided intriguing insights into his involvement in Marvel's cinematic universe and his role as Nick Fury in projects like Secret Invasion. Jackson revealed that he hadn't pushed for a standalone Nick Fury project, instead expressing concerns about his character's survival. He also expressed interest in exploring Fury's spy past in Secret Invasion, describing it as a departure from traditional superhero narratives. He said, "My biggest concern with Marvel was trying to keep them from eliminating me more than anything else. I kind of liked the gig. When they called me in to tell me what's going on, I always thought they were trying to eliminate me. They didn't let me go to Wakanda, which I was kind of upset about. How could Nick Fury not know about Wakanda? They said, well, you do know, but you can't go. I always wanted to tell the story about who Nick was before he had these superhero friends, when he lived in the shadow world as a spy, and how he connected with these people. Secret Invasion is not a superhero movie. It's gritty and dark." Reflecting on his unexpected journey as Nick Fury since Iron Man, Jackson admitted to being surprised by the longevity of his portrayal, exceeding initial expectations. He shared that contract negotiations with Marvel were individualized for each film, though overall, he felt fairly compensated. However, he lamented missed opportunities, such as not appearing in Captain America: Civil War. Jackson's words on his Marvel contract negotiations were telling, "Every deal was negotiable. Every movie was a negotiated deal." He acknowledged the complexities of the process and noted that while he felt compensated fairly overall, there were instances, like missing out on Civil War, that left him wanting more clarity. Jackson also discussed his collaboration with Brie Larson in the Marvels and praised her resilience in facing backlash from certain segments of the Marvel fanbase. He highlighted her strength in overcoming and misogynistic criticisms, emphasizing her authenticity amidst adversity. "Brie's a stronger person than people give her credit for. We had done Kong together, which was not the most wonderful experience for either of us," he said before adding, "We became great friends during that particular experience because we were having such a hard time. Then when she was doing her movie, Unicorn Store, and trying to get a particular actor, I was in the makeup trailer with her and was like, why are you trying to hire this other actor and not trying to get me to do your movie? She said, I didn't think you'd ever do it, so will you? And I was like, let's do it. Then we bonded through the election while we were doing her movie when Donald Trump won. She was broken and I was like, don't let him break you. You have to be strong now. Then when she got Captain Marvel, she called me and was like, they want me in the Marvel universe. Should I do it? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. But she's not gonna let any of that stuff destroy her. These incel dudes who hate strong women, or the fact that she's a feminist who has an opinion and expressed it. Everybody wants people to be who they want them to be. She is who she is, and she's genuinely that. Samuel L. Jackson reflected on his role as an usher at Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral, shedding light on his experience as a student at Morehouse College during that poignant moment in history. He recounted how, as a student, he was called upon to assist with the funeral arrangement simply because the event was held on campus. This duty came on the heels of a trip to Memphis to participate in a march following Dr. King's tragic passing. Discussing the state of the world since those tumultuous times, Jackson drew parallels to the civil unrest of the 1968 Democratic Convention and the recent protests sparked by the death of George Floyd. He noted persistent systemic injustices and a concerning trend of overt oppression, contrasting with the subtler forms of discrimination he experienced growing up. Recalling a pivotal moment involving Stokely Carmichael and the Black Power movement in the 1970s, Jackson recounted how his family faced intimidation from the FBI, prompting his mother to relocate him to Los Angeles for his safety. Addressing perceptions of his acting career, Jackson brushed off any notion of being taken for granted, emphasizing his ongoing pursuit of challenges and diverse roles. While he enjoys the camaraderie of filmmaking with friends, he remains open to new experiences, expressing a particular interest in exploring opportunities in Korean cinema, inspired by films like Sisu. In any case, Samuel L. Jackson's journey in Hollywood hasn't been the easiest one. Jackson is among the best-known and most widely celebrated actors of his generation. In fact, in 2021, he was named the highest-grossing actor in the industry, with his films cumulatively raking in a total of over $17 billion worldwide. In 2019, Forbes labeled his film grossings as the biggest cumulative total for any actor in history. And in 2011, he was even honored by Guinness for having the world record for highest grossing movie actor of all time, which at the time was only at $7.2 billion. Jackson's dominance in the movie industry, which has also led to a substantial personal fortune of around $250 million per celebrity net worth, is likely largely because he's also one of the most prolific actors in America, having nearly 200 credits to his name all in all, more than almost any other actor, according to Collider. And at only 73 years old, Jackson isn't stopping. He is still a major star in the film industry and is even set to reprise his role as Nick Fury in the upcoming Disney Plus series Secret Invasion. But when was Samuel L. Jackson's big break? Samuel L. Jackson first achieved international recognition in 1994 for his iconic role as hitman Jules Winfield in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. To this day, it's also the only performance for which he has been nominated for an Academy Award, though he lost to Martin Landau. Upon the film's release, Jackson was 45 years old, although Jackson had appeared in a number of films prior, including a handful of prominent ones, such as Goodfellas, Jurassic Park, and True Romance. Most of these roles were fairly minor, and hence would not have nearly the same impact that Pulp Fiction did. It was his link to Tarantino through the 1993 film True Romance, which Tarantino wrote but did not direct, that gave Jackson his in to audition for Jules. According to Vulture, Tarantino sent Jackson an early copy of the script and told him he had written the part of Jules just for him. However, Jackson was then mistaken for another black actor, Lawrence Fishburne, by someone at casting when he arrived to audition sometime later. His anger at this, however, manifested into his performance, and he absolutely dominated the audition and the movie. As superb as Travolta, Willis, and Keitel are, the actor who reigns over Pulp Fiction is Samuel L. Jackson, Entertainment Weekly wrote of the up-and-coming actor in 1994. He just about lights fires with his gremlin eyes, and he transforms his speeches into hypnotic bebop soliloquies. Naturally, it was after his Pulp Fiction appearance that Samuel L. Jackson's career absolutely blew up, and he became instantly recognizable. In fact, Jackson had been acting for about 20 years before he made it big, starting in the business in his 20s. And his career may have culminated just earlier this year. In fact, when he was honored by the Academy with the Honorary Governor's Award, an award given annually to certain actors to honor extraordinary distinction in lifetime achievement, exceptional contributions to the state of motion picture arts and sciences, or for outstanding service to the Academy. Although Jackson may only be at the height of his fame, he's now in his 70s and will unfortunately not be on the screen forever. When it came to his own age, Jackson told iNews in March, "I'm getting older every day. I'm kind of old. I know a lot about getting old. I have been around for a while." Jackson should be an inspiration to all young actors in Hollywood. Despite it taking several decades for his career to truly begin, and his relatively old age when it started, he still ended up becoming one of the most acclaimed and recognizable actors in the business. In any case, prior to his time in Hollywood, Jackson's life wasn't the typical one. Samuel L. Jackson was raised by his maternal aunt and grandparents in Chattanooga, Tennessee. His mother relocated to Washington, D.C. for work, though she made regular trips home to see her son. Jackson's father, however, was not in the picture. His dad left when he was still in diapers, though he's never been one to complain about it. "It was fine," he said when the Telegraph broached the subject during a 2012 interview. "One of the things that disturbs people about me is that I don't have separation anxiety." Speaking to The Guardian 3 years earlier, Jackson revealed that he only saw his father, who would go on to die of alcoholism, on 2 occasions. He remembers seeing his dad only once as a child, and the second time they came face to face was when Jackson's daughter Zoe was 6 months old. The actor happened to be in a show that was playing at a theater near his paternal grandmother's home and decided he wanted to meet her. When Jackson arrived at her house, his estranged father was also there. "There was no way I thought of him as my father," he said. "We had a conversation and he said something like, 'You can't talk to me that way. I'm your father.' And I said, 'No, you're not. We're just 2 people talking.'" According to Jackson, his maternal grandfather was the real father figure in his life. Samuel L. Jackson's grandparents both worked when he was growing up, so he often went to work with his Aunt Edna, an elementary school teacher who had a huge impact on the future Hollywood star. "She forced me to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do when I was a kid, the actor said during an appearance on Live with Kelly and Michael. I was reading by the time I was like 2. Edna's influence helped Jackson stand apart from his peers at a young age, but being the clever one didn't exactly make him popular with the other kids. He was so advanced for his age that he often got himself into trouble by outsmarting the older students from the back of his aunt's classroom. When a kid couldn't answer a question in her class, she would go, "Sam and I would answer the question," and then I would have to fight all lunchtime, because all the 4th graders would go, "Oh, you think you're smart," he recalled. "So I was a good fighter and a smart kid." Jackson also revealed that it was his aunt who sparked his interest in acting. In fact, Edna could claim to have cast Samuel L. Jackson in his very first role. "She was a performing arts teacher and never had enough boys for the part, so she would get me to perform," he told The Guardian. During an interview with the Mercury News in 2017, Samuel L. Jackson opened up about what life was really like growing up in segregated Tennessee during the 1950s. "For me, everything was very separate," he recalled. "Even the movie theaters I was going to were all black theaters. My whole existence was black. Still, the vast majority of faces up on the big screen were white. There were only a few actors of color for Jackson to look up to at the time, and they never seemed to make it to the end of a picture. When I did see Sidney Poitier or Harry Belafonte on screen, I often questioned my mama about why he died all the time. Then when I started getting cast in something, I'd flip through the script and see what page I died on. I got it at that point." According to Jackson, he only crossed paths with white people in person when he went to downtown Chattanooga. During his appearance on Live with Kelly and Michael, he revealed that black people were expected to act a certain way when visiting this part of town. "You don't look people in the eye," Jackson said, though he regularly flouted this rule because he didn't know any better. The future Marvel actor revealed he was taught lessons that most people don't have to learn today or shouldn't have to learn. Samuel L. Jackson has openly admitted that he dabbled with hallucinogenics during his college years. "I was a hip, he wrote in a guest column for The Hollywood Reporter. "I was taking acid and listening to Jimi Hendrix." Jackson's reportedly escalated in the late 70s when he joined New York's Ensemble Company, the groundbreaking theater group that helped launch the careers of Lawrence Fishburne and Denzel Washington. Jackson developed a habit, one that quickly spiraled out of control. "I was a addict and I was out of my mind a lot of the time, but I had a good reputation," he told The Guardian. "Showed up on time, knew my lines, hit my marks." According to Jackson, he would routinely rehearse and perform while on "It was the life," he told The Telegraph. "I was in the theater, the revolution. I fancied myself as Oliver Reed. Part of it is hereditary. My father died of alcoholism. I took it a step further. I drank and I used." The hard partying actor realized he had to change his ways when his wife and daughter found him lying on the kitchen floor, completely passed out. "The was cooked, but I'd never smoked it," Jackson said. "That was the first time my wife LaTanya realized I was doing something that was greater than just smoking weed and drinking." Jackson then checked into rehab. In any case, despite all the challenges he has faced, Samuel L. Jackson continues being an inspiration to many on hard work, resilience, and speaking up in the face of adversity. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.